Get started now on business plans. So I want to touch on the three main topics of the first thing is what exactly a business plan is. Then I'm going to discuss why it's important to have a business plan for your business. And then very briefly we'll go through just a simple overview of just exactly how to write a plan, what's important to have in the actual teichen inside the business plan. Okay, so if you guys could follow along, I mean, I basically put it like in this sort of like a mini PowerPoint, but just you can follow along. So a business plan, what is a business plan? So basically it's an organized way to look at all the important aspects of a business. Basically it's a roadmap for your business that lays out what your goals for the business is and how you plan on achieving those goals. It's a written description of your business. And I wrote on the bottom over here that even though a business plan doesn't guarantee that you'll have success in the business, just writing a plan, but it makes you more likely to start the business because, until now it's just a theoretical idea in your head. So until you actually put something on paper, make it a well thought out plan where you lay out exactly what you want to do and how you go about doing it, that makes the business, that makes it much more realistic. It makes you much more likely to start the business. So that's what a business plan is. Now, why is it important to write a business plan? So I bullet pointed a few points why it's important. One is to identify objectives and your plans to achieve those objectives. Like I said before it's just something in your head. It's not real. Until you actually, so this is going to actually you're going to lay out the business, what it is, what you plan to achieve. So putting everything out there on paper makes it much more realistic and makes you much more likely to actually start the business. The next one will be to define a new business. What does that mean? Let's say a person is looking, again, a point of a business plan is you're looking to attract people to invest in your business. So if you want to apply for a business loan, so there's two ways to go about getting someone to invest in your business. You can actually go and meet with them and tell them your idea, but a much more professional way is to actually have something written out, and this way the investor will take you much more seriously, that you actually thought about, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to accomplish. So once it's written out professionally, people will take you much more seriously. And along those same lines, it's to support a loan application. If your person wants to take out a business loan or have someone invest in their business, they're much more likely to lend you money if you actually have a written plan, as opposed to just telling them, please invest in my business, this is what I have. And the last step is just for yourself. It'll tell you if your business is viable. In your head it sounds like a great idea, this is a great business idea. But once you put it down on paper and you see that this is what my overhead is going to be, this is what my expenses are going to be, and then you'll see, oh wow, this is going to cost me way more than I wanted to spend. It's not, and you'll be able to see for yourself that it's either it's a good idea or it's not a good idea. It's basically for yourself an organization way to see if the business is actually a viable business. So moving along. So what's a good business plan? What's it important to make sure that you have in a plan? First thing is to set realistic goals for your business. Don't right away come and say, oh, this is a multi-million-dollar idea, it's going to make a fortune. If you want people to take you seriously, set measurable and realistic goals for the business. Assign responsibilities to people and departments. People shouldn't think that you're in over your head. Make sure that you're able to delegate to other people and make sure that you have to show that you're very organized and you're not taking everything on to yourself. You're giving other people responsibilities also. Set milestones and deadlines for tracking their implementation. Don't say that, oh, my business is going to grow in the future. At some point I plan on doing this. Set deadlines. Say by March I'm going to accomplish this. By April I'm going to accomplish this. By May this will be accomplished. Have it very clear exactly when you plan, and this way people will take the business more seriously. Outlining both a strategy, say this is what you want to accomplish, and describe how you're going to implement it. And the most important thing is they should be simple and easy to understand. I've seen people write long Megillahs, 100-page long, rambling, and that if people don't understand what your business is, then it's worthless. I've seen good plans that are 5-6 pages long, basically clearly and concisely says what the business is, and makes people much more likely to see your business, understand it, and would want to invest in it. The last step, before you start writing the plan, so you need to basically make sure you have the answers to these questions before you start writing the business plan. The first thing is determining the right legal structure for your business. Should you be a sole proprietor? Should you incorporate? There are advantages and disadvantages of each type of structure. We'll talk a bit more about that in a minute, exactly how to decide on a legal structure. Also, you should know if you need a location, a space, a storefront. Sometimes you can conserve money by doing it out of your home. Sometimes that's not practical. So make sure you know if you need to lease a space. Will you have an online business? Logistically, you'd have to have a website and other planning involved if you're going to be an online business. Make sure will you have employees, contractors? How many employees are you going to have? Each employee that you have is going to be another expense, somebody else that you have to pay. Make sure that you have clear how many people you're going to have to hire for the business. What kind of business will it be? Will it be selling to businesses or to the public? Is it a B2B that you're selling to businesses, or is it more lucrative for you to sell just to individual retail, to individual consumers? And also, what licensing and permits. This is especially important if you're running a food industry, a restaurant, or some sort of things involving food. You need licensing from the Department of Health. You might need, if you got to lease a storefront, you're going to need to abide by zoning laws. So all these things, before you actually start the business or write the plan, you should know exactly what licensing and permits you need. And it will be also important to have these things written in the plan itself, that you already applied or you already have these licensing and permits. Okay, so just to go off on a quick tangent, just on legal structures. So, people need to think, are they going to be, that's always people think, what should I do? Should I incorporate? Should I be a sole proprietor? So each have their own advantages and disadvantages. So these are just factors to consider before deciding on how you want to structure your business. The easiest to set up and maintain status, the easiest to set up is a sole proprietor. All you have to do is get a regular business certificate. You have to just file a Schedule C on your regular personal tax return. So that's the easiest to do. Cost, how much, personally, you have only a certain amount of money to invest. How much money is it going to cost you to set up the business? Again, a sole proprietor will be cheaper. But ongoing, it might be more expensive, because if you're a corporation, sometimes you can actually hide the profits and not report the profits. If it stays in the business, you won't have to pay taxes yet. So in the long run, it could save you money to file a corporation. And that leads into tax incentives. There are certain incentives that you get by keeping the money in a corporation. So for that reason, it will be worthwhile to set up a corporation. And again, depending on the type of business, there's a separation of the personal and business assets. If you're a sole proprietor, your own personal assets you're responsible for all the debt incurred by the business. So let's say someone sues your business, or you invested a lot of money and the business fails. So you're personally responsible for the business debts if you're a sole proprietor. If you're a corporation, so your business is protected, then the business is its own separate entity, and they can't go after your own personal assets. So depending on what type of business you're running, that would be a decision whether to be considered, whether to file for a corporation or a sole proprietor. Okay, the next page is just a basic legal structure of, again, I put it out just in a spreadsheet exactly the advantages, and we'll go through it very quickly. Sole proprietorship and a partnership, the advantages of that, they're simple and inexpensive to form. The disadvantage is that you have personal legal liability, like I said. If you get sued or a business fails, you're personally responsible for all the debts incurred in the business. Then there's something called an LLC. An LLC is basically in between a sole proprietorship and a corporation. It has the advantages of both types of businesses. I'll just list some of the advantages as liability protection. This is a separate entity. If something goes wrong with the business, you're not responsible if you're an LLC. There's no member restrictions. If you're a limited liability, if you're a corporation, there are a lot of regulations involved, how you're allowed to distribute profits. If you're an LLC, you're allowed to distribute the profits any way you want. There's no double taxation. As we'll see later on, when you have a corporation, so you have your own, the business is its own separate entity. So if you're a regular corporation, you're going to pay double taxes. The business itself, when it turns a profit, you're going to pay tax. The business itself will pay a tax on the profits. And then when you file your own individual tax returns, you're going to have to pay taxes on the income from the business. So you're going to be paying twice. If you're an LLC, there's no double taxation. The disadvantages of an LLC is high startup costs, and costs you a lot more to start the business as opposed to a sole proprietorship. You're going to have to pay a lawyer to set it up, or people do it online for a little cheaper, but it's going to cost you more money. Their tax and liability benefits vary. You can't necessarily hide money in an LLC like you can do in a regular corporation. Okay, and then you have the two types. I'll go first to the C corporation, which is and that C corporation, the advantages are, again, you have liability protection, that if something goes wrong, then your personal assets are protected. A big advantage of a C corp is the perpetual life, is that the way a C corp works is the business is owned by shareholders. So the business is always here. So even if someone sells their shares and leaves the business will still always remain here. So people are much more likely and be more willing to invest in the business knowing that it's a C corp. The disadvantage, as I said before, is the double taxation. You're basically paying double taxes. The business, if you own this business, the business is taxed, and then you're going to be taxed again on your own personal income tax. So that's a big disadvantage of a C corp. And also there's a lot of regulation and paperwork involved in filing for a corporation. So the alternative to the C corp is the S corp, which has the same advantage of limited liability, but it has an advantage over the C corp is that there's no double taxation. You're only taxed once when it passes through onto your individual tax return. You're not taxed on the corporate level. The disadvantage is it's a vague disadvantage, but if you have some sort of benefit from your employer, that benefit can be taxed in an S corp. And another disadvantage is that there's a limit that you can't sell there can't be more than 100 shareholders in an S corp. So it limits the amount of profit you can possibly make on an S corp. And then I have a non-profit, which is special tax benefits for people who are non-profit. Disadvantage is that there's no dividend. So this is just a basic basic spreadsheet just on legal structure. Just as an aside, it's called a limited liability corporation. Just because you're a corporation doesn't mean that you're protected from everything. If there's some sort of wrongful act or some sort of carelessness on your part affected something and somebody lost money because of your carelessness, or you did something, some criminal activity or something wrong, then they can go after your own personal assets. That's the limited part of liability, but you will be responsible if it's some sort of a wrongful act, just to let you not know that. Yeah.
What are
Should we do questions now, or should we wait till after? Let's wait till after. Quick question, if you want to.
Just on these, in the advantages or disadvantages, the one that mentions that the cost of the sole proprietorship, saying it's inexpensive, but the other ones, there is no comparison in the costs of the different types of corporations.
Well, again, a regular corporation is going to cost you more. A regular, as opposed to an LLC, there are more regulations involved. You need a board of directors. It's more complex. So you'll pay more for a C corp than you would for an LLC. Okay.
S corp as well, or?
Basically the same, maybe a little less. There are a little less requirements. You don't need all the regulations of a C corp, but. It's basically set up the same way, so it shouldn't be that much more. It's similar in price. Okay, so now we'll just go through quickly the actual business plan, the actual writing of the business plan. So there are 5 main categories of the business plan. The first part is the executive summary. That's basically the mission statement of the business. This part should be not more than 1 or 2 pages long. Basically, it's just saying what your business is, what the goal of the business is, and how you plan on achieving the goals of the business. The second part is the description of the business. That's a little more. It's basically taking your mission statement and expanding on exactly what the business is. The reason why it's 2 separate categories is because sometimes if you want to give it to an investor or a business loan, they're not interested in reading the entire description of what the product does. They want to see exactly what the business is, and they want to look at the profitability of the business by looking just at the mission statement, seeing what your business is. So they're not necessarily looking at the description. This is something, if somebody wants more detail, that's the reason why you have the description. The third part is the marketing analysis. The fourth part is operations and management, and then the fifth part is the financials. So let's go through quickly. What am I holding here, Mary? So very good. Yeah. So we'll go through quickly the 5 different sections. So the first part is the executive summary. Again, this is probably the main part of your business plan, because this is what an investor or a bank manager is going to look at. He's looking directly at this, seeing what your business is. Shouldn't be more than 1 or 2 pages long. Say the mission statement, what your business will be, and how you want to accomplish your goals. The date it began. Description of the founders and roles. People want to see that your business has responsible people in charge. So make sure that you say exactly who's part of your business and what their roles are in the company. How many employees do you have? Where the business is? What exactly are you selling? What are the products manufactured? What are the services that you're providing? What makes your company special, different from the competition? You're not going to go into detail here because this is just a mission statement, but why people are going to buy from your business, even though there are 10 similar businesses that do the same thing, why they're going to buy from your business, just in a very brief way. And the last two are for existing businesses. You do a summary of the growth thus far in your business, how well your business is doing, and then you do your future plans, how you plan on continually going to grow the business. Again, very important, very concise, 1 or 2 pages, basic overview of what your business is. Okay, the next part is, here's where you can actually do more of a description of your business. So again, what are you selling? What exactly is your service or product? Tell us what the benefit potential and current customers are. How come customers are going to purchase from you? What's special about your business that people are going to buy from you? Right? Again, also part of this describing is focus on where you have a distinct advantage. What's the problem in your target market, and how does your product or service provide a solution? So basically, you should say, my business will do very well in this area because I know they need this product, and with my product, they're going to provide an answer to their problem and provide hard evidence, which is the next thing, that people will be willing to pay for your solution. Right? This is not just saying, oh, I think people are going to buy my product because it's a great product. This is where market research comes in. Basically, you're going to show that you've done your research and it shows that this is a problem in this community, this is in my target market, and people are going to pay for my service or product. Then these last 2 things are just to show that you actually invested time and effort into your business. List the services and products and attach any marketing and promotional materials. This shows that you actually invested in the business and you actually started running it, that you already ran promotions, you have marketing material, you have something listed, that the business actually is about to start or started already. And then provide details regarding suppliers, service, costs. Again, this shows that you did your homework and you know how much everything costs, and you already did a pricing. You figured out pricing. So again, anybody who's looking at it sees that you're actually serious, and you're in the process of about to actually start your business. Okay, the third is marketing, which I'm going to let Zevi go mostly into this. But again, the marketing section has 2 parts. There's the market research, which shows that you did research on the product, and you see that people actually want the product. So you describe the industry. This section is more of an analysis and not so much of more of a narrative. This shows this is a research that you actually did and show that that people actually want your product or service. So describe your industry, your target market, who your competition is, your position. Again, all this is industry description and outlook. Identify who your target market is. See who's most likely to buy from your product. And then the last thing, which is the most important in this market research section, is a competitive analysis. In other words, let's say you have a dry cleaner service, and there are 10 other dry cleaners in the area. So do like a real competitive analysis where you list all 10 of the businesses and show what they do, what their strengths are, and what your strengths are, and why you feel your product is better, and people are going to be more willing to buy from you. So that's all that just briefly, we'll let Zevi get more into detail on that. And then the second part will be the market outreach, which actually will describe how you'll let your client know that you have this product. How are you going to get the word out for them to become your customers? How will you let them know you exist? How will you communicate with your customers? Show what your promotional strategies are. What marketing tools are you going to use? This is just ways of showing that you're going to get the word out and to show how you plan on marketing the business. Okay, we're almost done here. The fourth section is the operations of the business. So now that you have a great business idea and you have a great product, so everyone knows that you have the product, but how do we know that you know how to actually run a business? How do you know that you actually can function a business? So this section will basically just will show that you have everything under control, that the business will run, the operation of the business will run smoothly. List who's on the management team, what are their qualifications, show resumes, show exactly who you have managing the business and what their qualifications are. What's your role? You're the owner. What's your role in the business? What are the employees' roles and responsibilities? And again, list all the employees of the business and exactly what their background is, why you bring them into the business, what their strengths are. You know, sometimes you might think that since you're only a 1 or 2 person operation, maybe you don't need to go into detail. But people who are looking at your plan and are willing to invest or give you a loan are going to want to see that you basically delegate a responsibility and everybody has their set jobs and you know how to run the business. And the last thing would be just to have basically if you have a board who's on your advisory board, what salaries you're going to give, what benefits you're going to give, promotions, different. Just make sure the person that's reading it knows that you have everything under control and you have the operations of the business is going to run smoothly. And the last part, sorry, I have a 6 here as a mistake. It should be 5. Yeah, is the financials. So so the financials should include, make sure that you have basically, at least if you're an existing business, have 2 years financials, business tax returns showing that your business turned a profit. But the main 2 things that you should have in the financial section is basically something showing the net value of the business and something showing you the net income of the business. So the first thing you should have is a balance sheet. Balance sheet is your assets minus your liabilities equals the net value of the business. The net value of the business is very important because if, let's say you're going for a bank loan and they want to give you a loan, if you have collateral if they want to lend you $100,000 and you have assets in the business worth $100,000, they'll be more likely to lend to you since you have assets that they can take as collateral. The income statement, also known as the profit and loss statement, that's your total revenue minus your expenses, which is your net income. This shows that your business has profitability. And the last thing is cash flow projections. This is for new businesses. Again, this should be done based on research, not just out of the blue, just saying, I hope to make this and this. You should make basically monthly projections based on research, how much money you plan on making each quarter, preferably for 2 years, or a 1-year minimum projections of what your business will run. Okay, that's basically, I just wanted just 2 tips just on, just for a business plan. Just looking at the big picture, how to decide if your business is a viable, good business. So, let's say, the way I look at it is you should basically go for the lowest common denominator. Let's say a person says, I want to start a business and my goal is to make $50,000 profit for the year. That would be a great start for my business. So break it down. So if it's $50,000 for the year, that comes out that you have to be making $4,000 a month. Right? If you have to be making $4,000 a month, that means you need to be making $1,000 a week. If you need to be making $1,000 a week, that means you need to make $200 a day, right? Basically. So so now can you sell enough of your product to make $200 a day? If it's realistic, then maybe then it's a good idea and it might be a great business. If it totally overshoots what you think, there's no way you can sell that $200 a day, then maybe you need to rethink either your expectations or maybe the business idea would not be the greatest thing. And there's a second tip is just, when you're writing a business plan, especially if you're looking to attract investors, so you should basically show that you're, invest your own money. Don't just say you're looking for investors to invest 100% into the business and I'll do all the work. People want to see that you're actually invested in the business, that you're putting your own money in. When you do the operations and you write that you're drawing a salary of $100,000, investors don't want to see that you're pulling a huge salary. They want to show that you're actually invested in it. They see that you're invested in the business. It makes them much more likely to take your business seriously. And just in the end over here, I'm ending right now. So these are alternative lenders. The person's looking for financing for the business. Someone's not eligible for a regular bank loan for whatever reason. These micro lenders, these are all government-funded programs. So they're very motivated to lend to small businesses. Because if they don't lend, because they're government-funded, if they're allocated a certain amount of money. If they don't use that money to lend the money, then they get less next year when they apply for funding again. So they're motivated to lend. So if a person has they're not going to give it away recklessly, but if a person has a good plan and has a good business, then so it's something very, again, the rates for bank loans are definitely better, but this is always something to look forward. Hebrew Free Loan also, right? That's also another. Hebrew Free Loan is another organization that they give money and they're interest free. It's even better. They don't even charge interest. Again, there are eligibility requirements, and that's basically it. So I guess we'll have